Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Quarantine Concert Series. I am your host, Kabir Segal. It's a wonderful Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast. I'm coming to you live from our home in Atlanta, from my parents' dining room table. My parents are taking a nap upstairs, so we've timed it for the siesta. But it's going to be a wonderful siesta because we're going to have some wonderful music today. I'm very excited. This weekend is actually full of piano instrumental music, and we'll be talking about that through the show and at the end of the show. But first, why are we doing this? We're going through a time of national and international emergency. We're suffering through a pandemic, and it seems like the thing that is usually the medicine coming together as a community is what is actually the anti-medicine right now. It's we have to remain apart. I'm not calling it social distancing, I'm calling it physical distancing because we can still be social, and this concert series is an effort to help bring musicians, put the spotlight back where it belongs on the wonderful artists, because a lot of artists have had their way of lives negatively impacted by what's going on. All gigs have been canceled, so anyone touching live events, producers, artists, of course, engineers, bookers, promoters, there's a whole ecosystem of folks who are impacted by what's going on. And it's really a shame. There are so many great gigs that were booked, but this is an effort, of course, to keep the gigs rolling and to make sure that music is streaming in earnest. This is show, I think, number 24. So we've been at this every day at 10 p.m. Eastern on every night, and we're trying to make it sort of regular and consistent. So you can rely on us during this time. And on the weekends, we've been really gratified. The matinee shows, of which this is one, have been doing extremely well. Number two, where are we being broadcasted? The short answer is everywhere. We are on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, we're on the Instagram cracker, we're on the LinkedIn, and we're on the YouTube. So if you tune in, we are broadcasting everywhere. We're breaking the internet. I want to thank our special partners at LinkedIn and Facebook for partnering on this content. We really appreciate all they do to support the broadcast. And then lastly, if you are a musician who wants to get booked on the show, drop me a line on the Instagram cracker and on Facebook. So we'll try to get you on. We have a waiting list of about 40 artists. We're trying to get through as quickly as possible. So thanks for your patience as we move through this. Our last few episodes have done really well. We've been averaging over 50,000 views per episode, and we cracked 100,000 views per episode for one episode. So we really appreciate all the love and support you're giving the artists. And make sure to sort of, you can watch the clip, but also important to buy their stuff and stream their stuff on Spotify and be there for the artists as much as possible. So those were the public service announcements. Now we get to the fun part of the show, which is talking with really an incredible artist. I've known her for several years now, and she is, one of the biggest compliments I give an artist is I listen to her music when I need to sort of go to a meditative place. And when I need to write especially, I listen to her music and it puts me into a flow state. Flow state is actually kind of it's a state where I can produce even more, which is awesome. So you're really in for a special treat to hear the incredible music of the one, the only Heidi Breyer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kabir. Wow, that's quite an introduction.
Yes, well, and you're very deserving of it because you are one of the most virtuosic and intelligent musicians that I've come across in many, many moons. And
the intention's there, I'd say, but I'm not. We'll see how it goes. And we're really lucky to do what we do, and now more than ever is the time to give that back, right?
Totally.
So, I this is actually only my second time streaming ever, and that's why I decided to break that mold and just say, okay, let's give the people who need it a little more. Okay.
Amen. Tell me, Heidi, how has the pandemic affected you professionally? Have you had to cancel any gigs or any shows?
I was in the process of writing, which is actually one of the pieces that I'm just releasing, which was released last week. So I had recorded that and released it. So I was not gigging. And I also have just finished the score of a huge, great Latin requiem. And so then the next stage, after editing all of that, which we've done, is now finding a body of a choir of 50 and, an orchestra. We got the pianist, but that's about it right now. So hopefully there'll be a premiere coming out of that.
Wow, wow, sounds ambitious and grand. I want to talk more about that. But
Yeah.
first, tell me, where are you broadcasting from, and has the
Okay,
virus?
so the
Yeah.
pandemic, yeah, I'm in New Jersey, so I'm second in line for numbers. It's really tough here. Frenchtown, New Jersey is a little rural town on the right on the west side of New Jersey and right on the Delaware, flanking Pennsylvania. So we've got lucky because it's a small community and we've been really good at adhering to all the guidance and directions. And yes, there are cases. There's nobody personally I know. I'm really blessed so far. But, I do this triangle, as I was telling you, between the grocery store, my house, my parents' house, delivering those off and trying to minimize, the amount of times I check in with them and do it rather on the phone. But, so far so good, touch wood.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a
you
dining
know,
room table here I can touch.
right,
So, are you
right.
stocked up with Purell?
You know what? I'm not. We have tons of bars of soap though.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm stocked up with. But yeah, when I went, that was out. There was no toilet paper. TP was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, sorry to be graphic,
No,
guys,
no, it's okay.
but it's like,
What is
you know,
what's your fragrance of your favorite fragrance of bar soap? Is it lavender or some kind of rose?
wow, that was first choice. Yeah, it's lavender.
See, I know you well.
I think many people's are. There's probably one of two. Is lavender or cucumber, right? I mean, it's
Well, I
like,
gotta tell you, I know you're from Great Britain, and every time I go to Great Britain, there's all these like, lavender scents and bar soaps. It's like,
or
you go,
English rose, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the title of your next piece: lavender and English rose bar soaps.
There you go.
So tell me, we would love to hear you play. What would you like to start off with?
I'm going to start by playing straight in with actually the most energy driving piece rather than meditative. So we're going to calm it down throughout what I play. So this is Moonlight in Empty Rooms. It's the title track of my last album. And I may or may not give a shortened version of that depending. I'd love to get more pieces in. But yeah, so it's Moonlight in Empty Rooms. And all of the tracks on that album were written in response to my husband's artwork. So he painted a piece called Moonlight in Empty Rooms. And so my response, my musical response to that is this piece. Okay.
I love you here.
That's a made up applause.
I'm reflecting the love you're getting around the world.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, check out some of these incredible comments you're getting. King Tom Frost, still my all-time favorite.
Thank you, everybody.
Oops. Witness the unmatched genius. We were putting some of the artwork up on screen. Um, tell me about this album. Tell me about the album cover. How did you come up with this look for the album cover?
Well, this is really interesting because it's actually the only thing on the whole album that isn't a piece of art. And we tried many pieces of Alexander's on the front of the album cover, and we came back to the essence of light, which is moonlight in empty rooms. And we talked about how are we going to convey that light. What is the lightest thing that can convey light? And that's a feather. So we just stuck a feather, on a dark table with a dark background, took a couple of shots, and that was it. So it ended up, being what we felt. And actually, that is not the painting, obviously. The painting Moonlight in Empty Rooms is of this old Victorian house, and with the moon shining in, and we were in that house. We didn't live there, but we were in there, and then Al conveyed it through a painting, it through moonlight. We were in there at the daytime, during the day. So yeah, it's a process. It's a genuine,
Interesting. Can you hear me? Hello, hello.
hello.
Yeah, I think we cut out for a little bit.
Okay.
I was just wondering, when you compose a song, so many people who watch are like songwriters, and they think about like, there's an AABA form. How do you, when you're writing a piano instrumental song, how do you think about the structure when you're composing?
Okay, I kind of work backwards. I do it totally the opposite. I throw out the concept of songwriting entirely. I go to the piano and I take, when I see a painting or see anything around me that inspires to write, I'll simply wait to see what comes to me in those first few notes. That's it, the first few notes. And then the first few notes represent where it's going to go from there and what the essence of the piece is. And then once I've got this full bucket of mud, I then, hone it down. I whittle it down almost like a little bit and say, no, that's not right. That doesn't need to be in. That's making too much of a verbose statement. So let's bring that back, or this needs more. So I do it like that, and then the structure is what it is, and that sometimes ironically falls back into a song pattern or not. It can be random. So.
Right, we love to hear another one.
Okay. This one, I'm going to play the new song, which is just released last week.
Nice.
And it's called Out of the Rain-Soaked Earth.
Did you?
And this is, go ahead.
Did you play that song in your last stream?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so this is
Sorry,
the second.
it's not. Yeah,
This
it's
is the
not the
second time.
premiere of it.
That's okay. That's okay. We can do it. The second's fine.
Yeah. So this is actually a dedication to to everybody, what it's going to be like when we come out of the mire that we're in right now, and it's the coming of spring. So it was out of the rain-soaked earth. Okay.
Brava, brava,
Thank you.
maestra. Awesome. You're getting a lot of love online. Your Shambu saying
Thank
is
you.
so gorgeous. We have some a bouquet of flowers for you,
Oh, thank
emoji
you.
wise. Yeah,
Thanks, Eric.
some
That's
claps,
Lee.
some claps.
Thank
We
you.
we have some questions on Instagram. It's
Sure.
what we were talking about earlier. People want to know what kind of piano do you play and why do you play that piano?
Okay. I play a Petrov, and it is a 6 foot, I think 6'2" Petrov, and it's from Czechoslovakia. It was imported here, and I bought it here because it had a similar cushioned sound, although bright, to a Steinway, and it was about half the price, frankly. So there you have the truth.
There you go. Some more. This is some rhetorical questions. Can any words suffice to express what we just heard? That's a nice comment. And then
Well,
Jan says,
that's nice.
such beautiful, soulful music.
Thank you.
I'm a huge fan.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Don't go away. I've got more pieces.
Tell us real quick about the interplay between the visual art and the sonic art. You have this relationship, and I want you to talk about how you navigate the visual and the musical together.
You mean during the process of our working day? Yeah.
Exactly, and also like some of her
Okay.
pieces. When you say some of her pieces are inspired by the artwork,
Yes.
how does that? How do you take a? What's the process? How do you take a piece of art and then translate that into music?
Okay. So I happen to run Alexander Volkov Fine Art. That's my day job. And so what I do is liaise with about 15 galleries around the US. So because I'm running a business, the business office is right really close to where Al's studio is. It's basically, I can look and peek and see what it is he's creating during the process of it. And as a result of that, I know almost ahead of time in the very early stages whether I'm going to be inspired sonically by it. And then, I always say to him, "Oh, hurry up and finish it. I've got to write something." And it comes, and other times a piece has come to me after it's totally finished because I wanted to see how it would grow, and then I leave it to cook a little bit, and I'll go and visit maybe the image of it after the actual original is shipped out to a gallery or to a client. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And then my studio is not the same as Al's, obviously, and so I kind of retreat. And then when the paperwork builds up, then Al knows I'm in the middle of writing a lot.
Got it. Have you
So
ever
yeah.
played? Do you play like live gallery? So they'll be exhibiting the art, and then you play.
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah, we've a couple of them we've done, and in fact, we did a couple of shows last year. One out west in Tahoe, one in Park City. There, Pando Fine Art, and both of those are awesome galleries that really support Alexander. We're very proud, Marcus Ashley Galleries, to be part of them. But yes, we played for celebration of Al's 25-year career, and also oh, he has a milestone birthday this year, so maybe I don't want to say what that is, but there's going to be, I'm sure I'll be playing at some point then as well.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a good.
But yeah, we do joint collaborative work.
Here's a good question. Shambu
So
asks: does Alexander ever paint to your music, reversing the process?
um, he's been inspired to. In fact, there's one piece that I'm going to play today, which it was more of a back and forth. I'm not sure either one of us inspired the other, but they both came along together, and it was as a result of visiting an old abandoned shack in Maine that we discovered. And we looked around it, and nobody obviously was living there. It was completely abandoned, but it was so beautiful. It had these flowers, these wildflowers growing around the outside. And he was creating a piece called Returning. And out of the inspiration of that piece, I wrote a song called All Souls Lullaby, because both of us felt very strongly about the souls that had resided in that place once, even though obviously we've never met them. And but you could just feel it when we had explored the place. And so that sort of came collaboratively together. Um, that's probably the nearest to answer the question.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. What would you like to play for us next?
Next is a piece called Autumn Snowfall. So, I mean, people can do away with the imagery that I'll describe, and just let come to them whatever will.
Mm-hmm.
But if they want to think about a pure white scene and all they can see is the filigree yellow leaves of autumn, early autumn snowfall, that was what I wrote this to, which is a painting. Okay.
One small thing is when you put the headphone down, try to make sure that the wire doesn't obscure the your
Oh, I'll
hands
put
on the
them on the
piano.
floor.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you took us to a place on that one.
Yeah, it's pretty meditative. Do you know what time signature that's in? Did you ever hear it?
Tell
Work
me,
it out.
tell me.
13/8, 6/8/7/8.
It
It's
doesn't
really
sound like an odd meter. I mean, it sounds very like pensive. I mean, there's a pulse
yeah,
to it, you know.
yeah.
So for
Anyway,
sure. The first time I came across your music was a few years ago on your last project, which I want to talk about. Tell me about your album before this. Let's put it up on the screen.
Letters from Far Away.
There it is. Tell me about the process. Why did you want to make this record? And tell me about the process of putting it together.
Yeah. The process was directly to do related to the emigration of my parents to America. They had their wedding anniversary, and they realized that they wanted to spend the rest of their life near family, and so they pretty much announced they were coming to our town, and which was an awesome thing. But their story is basically written in music in that album, and it was about how they met when my mom in a couple of years before 1960 they found each other and then were separated, and wrote letters to each other for 5 years, because obviously there was no internet back then, and their story survived, and they were in different countries. My mother was in Germany, my father in England, and they made it back together again. And so you see titles like Small Cafe, and that's I've been to that cafe. I know where they met. That's where they met, and so yeah, I wanted to write a musical dedication to them, really.
What was the response like to the album? Were you happy with how it was received?
Um, I was. I think people weren't interested so much in the source of the material, right? And I'm not sure why that was. Maybe it was just too much of a personal statement for them to swallow. I don't know. Some people just like that enigma, right? And I'm pretty transparent as a person. But also, it started out, the process of making it was very interesting. It started out with the intention of being a solo album. And then this was at Imaginary Road Studios with Will Ackerman, and Tom Eaton. And we were hearing a lot of other instruments. I heard a lot of interplay in all of the pieces. For example, going back to Small Cafe, we ended up getting a clarinet on that, and it was the first time I've ever worked with a clarinet. This was great, and so there was some great interplay. So I ended up doing a solo version of the album and an instrumental version of the album, piano and whatever instruments were telling us, in our hearts to use. And so that little slim leaf of an album, when you get it physically, if people ever get physical albums these days, actually there are 2 discs in there. One is the instrumental version, and one is the solo version of the same songs.
Yeah, it was a incredible album and very eloquent. I love the source material. Anytime you write about or you're inspired by stuff that's so personal, I think the music becomes even more profound. And even here's Corey Carruthers saying the album is such good storytelling, and the music is so romantic.
Oh, thanks, Corey.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can say for sure is all my albums are concept albums. They either come out of the art or they come out of a true story. It's all realism, though. It's all stuff that is actually existing, or it's an experience that has happened.
yeah,
That's, I think, the way I stay truest to my reflection of that experience.
gotcha.
You know.
Here's a comment up by Gina Kaju. She says, "Beautiful playing. It's such the perfect song for those of us in Minneapolis and the Bold North." Have you played in Minneapolis?
I have not. I would love to, Gina. I haven't.
We need to find an art gallery there to bring Alex and Heidi out to Minneapolis,
thing.
Gina, when
Love it.
when life comes back to normal. We
Yes,
also have
you bet.
my friends on Instagram. I have a lot of Indian followers on Instagram. People want to know, when are you coming to Mumbai to perform?
I would love to. In fact, I wanted to go to an ashram this April to do actually just a retreat, a yoga retreat, and I'm not going to be able to do that now. And I think the trip was actually abandoned as a result of everything happening. But I would come in a heartbeat, guys. Just show me the place. It's like, oh, is that awesome?
Awesome. We'd love to hear another one.
Okay, so the next one is a bit of an experiment. It's one that I have not performed since 2010.
10
And it's,
years.
yes, 10 years. Winter Light from my very first album, first studio album. So I just picked it up and it felt like I should do it. And so I'll give it a shot. Okay.
Nothing like a blast from the past.
Yeah, really.
That was awesome.
You liked it?
I loved it. We're getting a lot of love on that piece too. People are saying, here you go. I'll show you some of the love coming in. First
I
of
it's
all, Gina, just to put a button on that conversation. Gina says maybe the Minneapolis Institute of Art, we can get you there.
oh,
And then Tom Foth says,
that'd be awesome.
if you come to Mumbai, I'll send my whole lab team there.
Great, Tom. That's great.
So we have some love from India coming in, scintillating piece of music,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
let me show you here. So this is all. Look at all this love. Winter light, my heart and soul burst with the emotion that arises from this beautiful piece of music. I mean, it just goes on and on. You're touching a lot of people with your beautiful music.
Well,
So you can go and read
thank you.
later. If anyone has a question for Heidi, drop it in the comments. I'll be sure to ask her
Please
as well.
do.
Tell me about your evolution. And this is a very broad question, but I want you to compare your album that you did in 2010, this last one, Winter Light, with what you're putting out now. How has your music changed? If you had to sort of assess it now, what's the difference between now and then?
It's kind of ironic. When I was selecting the pieces for this live stream, I realized that I'd chosen pieces from my most recent album, Moonlight and Empty Rooms, and my oldest album, and nothing in between. And not that I don't love that work that I did. It was a great process, but I think I'm kind of going full circle a little bit. My first album had the how can I put it? It had the resonance of the classical training I had a little bit, in terms of, you could probably hear a little bit of Handel and Bach in that. I don't know whether you could or not. I can't see you, Kabir. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
so,
listening.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm just talking.
People don't
okay.
want to look at me. They want to look at the art.
I don't want to look at myself when I'm. So anyway, so it had a little bit of that from the classical roots, and then I went away from that a little bit, and now. And in Moonlight, I came back to it. So the evolution has kind of gone full circle a little bit. The Moonlight is contemporary instrumental, much more neoclassical, I think. It's only violin and piano. It's not piano solo. And then obviously during that time, I wrote the Requiem. And so that was really drawing on anything I knew classically at all. Which was not choral-based music at all. So
How long did it take for you to put the Requiem together?
5 years to write it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's written totally. You'll hear actually a couple of pieces from Moonlight and Empty Rooms were formed the basis of two of the sections, and I could hear myself utilizing it, and then I kind of went for it. But yeah, it took 5 years in total, alongside all of these albums, and but yeah.
I'm so excited to hear it when it's ready. I know it's sort of an epic piece that'll take time and energy.
Yeah.
Hey, for people watching, make sure to check out Heidi Breyer's website, HeidiBreyer.com. You can see there's a store there where you can buy sheet music and her albums.
And can you apologize to them for the player being pulled down by CD Baby?
Oh, that's
It's like,
that's the website right there. Maybe we can put up the
Right.
shot of the sheet music so people can see.
sure
If you want to,
thing.
I can't promise you'll play like Heidi, but you'll at least have the same page of music in front of you. The playing takes many moves. You should really put a master class together and show people
that's a good idea.
a glimpse into your creative process. Also, check her out on Spotify and subscribe to her there and all of her streaming channels. It's important to subscribe and follow her on
Thank you.
social media. So HeidiBreyer.com, check her out. Maybe you could play us one last piece.
Sure thing. This will be All Souls Lullaby. I just wanted to ask how everybody else is doing though, Kabir. Can you ask any viewers? Are they all doing okay?
Yeah,
Because
tell
this
us.
is for them, you know?
Put us in the tell us
it's
in the
not-
comments. Tell us how you're doing out there in the comments. If you're watching, a lot of people watching. Heidi wants to know that you're okay, you're safe. Just drop a note, and I'll.
And that everybody's coping okay. And if you're not, listen to loads of music, not just mine. Listen to music. It's going to really carry us through.
Yeah.
So this is my last piece, also it's lullaby, and it is for all our souls and all those souls that can't be with us now. Okay? So thanks for having me on, Kabir. If I speak to you afterwards, probably, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, we will.
okay.
Awesome. What a way to spend a Saturday afternoon
Thank you, sir.
with the incredible Heidi Breyer. I can't say better than Shambu saying lifting hearts. That's exactly what you're doing. We need your music more than ever, especially these days. Thanks for writing.
Thank you.
Thanks for composing. Thanks for being you, Heidi. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kabir. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on
Of course.
here. I know the artists that you have on are absolutely outstanding. I've been following them and enjoying the evenings and the matinees. So making room for me was just meant so much. Thank you.
Continuation of genius, as we call it here, with Heidi Breyer. So one more thing for everyone watching. I want to give a shout out to the sound team, the tech team,
Yes.
who's helping.
They're awesome.
Check out their website, Sandra and Camilo, soundworksrecording.com. If you're an artist and needs mixing and mastering services or any kind of audio services, check them out. They just sort of volunteered to jump in and help me with these series. We really appreciate it. And if you mention their dogs, Oreo and Maui, you may get a discount on the audio services as well. They have a very soft spot for their dogs. And that's it. So check us out 10 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to all my social if you like, so you get updated on the concerts we have tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern. Sarah Partridge, great jazz singer, and she's going to be, I think, singing with the pianist. So they'll be
Nice.
practicing physical distancing. Maybe they'll be 6 feet apart. So that's it. Have a great afternoon. God bless. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Bye,
sir.
everyone.
Bye bye.